Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the iHeart Radio Network. And I want to tell you, everybody, that we're the number one show in the universe according to Big C and his good old boys voting down south. There are no hanging chads. Today is a beautiful October the 20th. 2016. And I want to say also we are broadcasting live from the iHeart Radio Network, the number one media company in the United States of America. Again, no hanging chats on that. And Donald Trump, you can't even dispute that, Donald Trump. Also, I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America. Thank you so much for following Charlton and Big C. And I want to say also to you good old boys over in Canada, sorry about the Blue Jays being knocked out of the playoffs, but they had a great season anyway, and you can start following hockey. And of course, I want to say thank you to London, England. Unfortunately, one of our NFL players won't be over there playing the game in England, Big C. But I also want to say, of course, in the great United States of America, the land of the free and the home of the brave. But how's it going for you good old boys down south, Big C?
Well, Charlton, I want to let everybody know this is the real Big C on the radio. This is not Chris Canty, perpetrating on the NFL Network.
Yeah, I saw that.
The Big C from the East, so, at least this is real talk for me, and I'm not running from some script they emailed out to him and told him to read from that.
He was reading from it, too. Canty played ball in the NFL, and I said, Big C, I didn't know you were on the TV. You didn't even tell me. I got up about 4 o'clock in the morning, and I was listening to the NFL Network. They had Nate Burleson on there and a couple other good old boys, and they brought up Big C, and I said, Big C, you didn't tell me you're on TV. It wasn't you, Big C, but he's a black guy, so it was close enough, Big C.
People when they find something nice, people always try to. I look at it as the utmost respect from the NFL Network. Copy what we're doing, put it out there on the airways, trying to do what we do. But as much as they try, Charlton, it's also scripted in what they do. You're gonna sit there and no knock against females and everything, but when you have females hosting a sports show based on male interaction, it's a little difficult to have complete insight. And no disrespect to the women that are doing the show, they're doing a marvelous job with what they have to work with. But even the guys that on the show have a little passivity. I look at Nate Burleson, and he sits there like a guest instead of the host of the show.
Yeah, he's the one that has the
one on the show
that play ball.
Football experience.
That's so funny, Big Z. And I also want to say this segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go down and test drive it, tell them you want the one that Charlton and Big C drives. In fact, Big C, what is it about your muddy Cadillac Escalade that's catching on all over the country? Nobody's washing their cars now, Big C. What's going on with that?
Well, Charlton, that's about being real, about accepting the vehicle that you drive in. And, the smell inside, it permeates from time to time. But you always put a window down and get fresh air flowing through there, open up that back window of the truck. But, I'm getting so many copycats even in that, Charlton. I've seen commercials on TV where Firestone is when I got a brand new Ford pickup going out muddying it up. It's like, come on, guys. At least on the bottom of it, give me a little, little notoriety saying, because of Big C, we're doing this. Big C is happy and proud of everybody who's copying him around the country, Charlton. ESPN, Fox Network, NFL Network, Firestone. Keep it rolling, guys. Keep it rolling.
Well, also, I want to say, keeping it rolling, congratulations to you good old boys at Cleveland. Speaking of Big C, the Cleveland Indians have advanced on to the World Series as the American League champions, and they'll play either the Dodgers or the Cubs. The Dodgers are actually favorites tonight. They're playing in Chavez Ravine in Southern California, Big C. So we know they have a large crowd, about 56,000 people down in Los Angeles with all the movie stars and all the great things that are happening down there. I think it would be so great for either team. The Dodgers haven't won it since 1988 when they had the walk-off home run against the Oakland A's. And also, the Cubs have been about 100-something years, Big C. That's a long time for them to hold out, Big C. But just your thoughts, and not who you think is going to win, but who would you like to see play against the Cleveland Indians, and then why, Big C?
Well, Charlton, as we've learned in sports over the decades, it's not always the best team that goes on and win a championship, Charlton. We've seen that many times throughout history. It's the best playing team at the time that normally wins. And that's the scenario you have right now. The Cubs came back, tied the series last night 2-2 in a dominant fashion, Charlton. They shut out the Dodgers, hit some long balls, and that's the key to their success throughout the season, is that they're able to do that. Well, that momentum ride into tonight's game. that's the key. If they can get off early, before the fourth inning against the Dodgers, the Cubs will win. But if the Dodgers can hold them in check, and the Dodgers are going out there with a rookie pitcher tonight, so you kind of think that everything is weighted in the Cubs' behalf with the Dodgers starting a rookie pitcher.
Yeah, and the 10-2 was the score last night in that game at Chavez Ravine. Obviously, we're a little bit cynical, Big C, on this show, but it wouldn't make sense if they swept them down and beat them 4 games to 1, Big C. It's nice to see these final 3 games coming down to everything that matters, and hopefully, no matter who wins, it will be decided in Chicago, the Windy City. What a great place to watch baseball at Wrigley Field, even though they've renovated it, Big C. So congratulations to no matter who gets in. It's great to see baseball this time of the year because they're playing it the way the game should be played. Also, Big C, we got Thursday night football happening. Couple of college teams kicking up. Boise State against BYU is the big game, and because Boise State is ranked and they have a lot to prove, don't know who's going to win, but I give the favorite to Boise State. They're favored by 6. The over-under in that game is 57 points, Big C. We also have Troy. They're playing Southern Alabama. I almost thought that was Alabama. I said, you good old boys have downgraded your schedule, Big C. But it's Southern Alabama, so Nick Saban, you didn't miss the plane, Big C. You guys are not playing Troy this week. And also, to wrap it up, Virginia Tech, they're a 6-point favorite over Miami. The over-under in that one is 51. Don't know who's going to win that game because both teams are kind of neck and neck in talent-wise. But what I want to get into is the NFL. And before we even get into the NFL, we always say our show keeps it real. We're not going to be, cookie-cutter programming. We love to bring you the sports and entertainment. We even talk a little bit of politics, Big C, because that's real talk. I want to just bring up some issue that we talked about in the world of television, how they cover so much on the East Coast, the New York Giants and Beckham. Every time he scores a touchdown, whatever antics he has, and CBS and Fox, they put so much emphasis on Beckham. What's he going to do after he scores, whether he kicks a net or throws his helmet up against the wall? But they had a kicker that has been accused, actually charged with domestic violence against his wife over 20 times, Big C. Their kicker had beaten up his wife. And there was so much talk about Beckham that no one even talked about that. And they're on the same team, Big C. What's going on with that?
Well, everybody wanted to look at Brown as being a model citizen, Charlton, but he wasn't.
Yeah.
And he lived in the state of Washington, and it's been documented in the police department in the state of Washington. The NFL had copies of this. The networks knew about it.
Yeah.
The NFL gave him a slap on the wrist the first game of the season. They gave him a 1-game suspension. NFL protocol, Charlton, if you've been charged in a domestic violence case, is 6-game suspension.
Yeah.
How did Brown get away with a 1-game suspension? You think about the Ray Rice incident when Ray Rice was caught on tape.
Oh, he got more than 1 game.
He was under a 2-game suspension, Charlton, at the time, and that's what made them change it.
Yeah.
And it was retroactive at that point. When they saw the tape, they suspended him indefinitely.
Yeah.
But they've had this history of Brown. This is not new. They've known about it. That's why they gave him the 1-game suspension.
Yeah.
But now that the media outlets, mainly TMZ, got on it so hard, along with Charlton and Big C Sports, is that now the NFL has come down and they've suspended him for the Giants have, not the NFL, the Giants are not letting him take the plane ride with the team over to England this weekend. Yeah. And they most likely, when he gets back, they will release him. But, you think about an incident in San Francisco last year. I think the guys, Ricky Jeans or Francois, the defensive line.
LSU,
With the LSU with the 49ers.
Yeah.
He was accused of domestic violence, and he was released the next day by the San Francisco 49ers. Not 20 times, Charlton. He was accused by his girlfriend of domestic violence, and the 49ers released him. Yeah. Also, Alden Smith, an all-pro defensive end. Same type of scenario. On his second incident, the 49ers released him, Charlton. So when you think about Brown getting a pass, I think it might have something to do with the city of New York. And it's been a terrible year in 2016. Yeah. When you think about the women of New York, what they've had to go through from athletes. You think about Aroldis Chapman, the relief pitcher when he's with the Cubs now, but when he was with the New York Yankees at the beginning of the season, I believe he got a 50-game suspension for domestic violence. Yeah. You think about Josh Brown, over 20 incidents and reports to the police department in Washington about what he had done physically, mentally to his wife, on assault. It's his former wife now. Yeah. And you look at Derrick Rose, who had just a civil case just dismissed yesterday for sexual assault against a woman. So when you think about the egregious treatment that have occurred to these women in the city of New York, even the state of New York, and nationwide, Charlton, it's been a terrible 2016 for assault on women. And you go back to the 2016 Super Bowl where the NFL had an ad, no violence against women. Violence. But then here the NFL trying to hide what's going on, Charles, especially with Brown, who's come out in the public eye as a black eye for the NFL. But, you think about Goodell. The only thing that's important to him is how many pounds are in a football. They spent millions of dollars to prove this case against Tom Brady. Millions of dollars. Well, they could have donated that, Charlton, to some battered women's shelter.
You're right. You're right, Big C.
If the NFL had a social consciousness, that's where that money would have been going from Roger Goodell instead of pursuing Tom Brady as he was a criminal instead of not pursuing the real criminals in the NFL. You fine players for celebrating. You fine players for making gestures. You fine players for having fun. But you don't find a kicker and you don't dismiss a kicker from the league for beating the crap out of a woman, Charles.
Well, Big C, I think that's so powerful because we like to say, unlike Donald Trump, who says he can grab a woman by her private area, he's used a much more crude word, Big C, and then he says it's just locker room talk. I know men and women will have whatever kind of talk they want to have, but that's actually assault for a guy who's trying to become the president of the United States.
It was assault, Charles, as well as adultery. It was sexual assault and adultery occurring at the same time. And people are believing this man should be the president of the United States.
No, that's a joke.
These type of heinous acts and activities, and he said that it's a joke. Now, you ask any athletes, and I know we have many athletes who listen to our show and former athletes, Charlton. Is that locker room talk? Is that locker room banter? Now, I think I was a former one. I played 2-3 days.
You played about 3 days longer than Donald Trump. Is that what you're saying, Big C?
And we had female reporters that came into the locker room, Charlton. I think it was around 1984. They allowed the female reporters into the locker room. So Donald Trump was on tape in 2005, I believe it was, making these type of statements. So this was 21 years after they allowed female reporters in the locker room. And Charlton, I have not seen a case during that time from 1984 here to 2016. And what is that, 32 years, Charlton? 32 years. I have not heard a female reporter ever come out of a locker room disgusted and disgruntled saying this type of locker room talk goes on. So Donald Trump is a blatant liar, or these female reporters are blatant liars. And I have a tendency to believe the female reporters because they're credible.
And also,
in 32 years, you have never heard a female reporter come out of a locker room saying that this is how guys are talking.
And I agree 100%, Big C. Also, last night, he keeps denying that it was his own voice. It was his own words when he says, no one respects women more than I respect women. Well, if any man has a wife or a daughter or a mother or sisters, if you think that type of behavior is acceptable, especially for the women, the sycophants women that defend Donald Trump's behavior, walk around and let men grab your crotch and tell people it's okay because Donald Trump gets away with it. And also, speaking of getting away with it, Big C, this segment is sponsored by your California Lottery. What can a buck do for you? I tell you, Big C, I believe in the power of prayer, Big C. I've been praying real hard. I've been asking T.D. Jakes and Joel Osteen and, Creflo Dollar prayed for a $65 million airplane, and God gave it to him, Big C. I'm just asking for $100 million, Big C, and the state takes half of that. What's up with the lottery, Big C? What can a buck do for you, Big C? What has a buck done for you, Big C?
Well, a big buck buys mason jars. When we got the moonshine done, we just poured in the mason jar, let it marinate a little bit. And you can open that mason jar up and refill that mason jar at any time. That mason jar is just a buck. So it goes a long way, and it's reusable. So,
I tell you what, Big Z, when you think about that, go out and put some money in it. Whatever it is, go out and invest yourself in some money in the lottery or whatever you do. Have a good time and be safe and be responsible. Before we get into some of the NFL games coming up, Big C, I want to throw something your way because we know that the kicker for the Giants, he just got some discipline finally after about a year of this happening, Big C. We know there's another quarterback down in Houston, Brock Osweiler, that pushed a woman twice down in the great state of Texas after being traded by the Broncos to the Houston Texans, and there was no pushback whatsoever on Brock Osweiler. I think the TV networks covered it for about 30 seconds, And you had a lot of African Americans that have been, losing their careers, Big C, whether it's Ray Rice or Hardy or, several other players throughout the history. Adrian Peterson for disciplining his child, Big C. They were all thrown under the bus by the NFL. The only difference, they were African American, Big C. And I know a lot of people don't think that's important, but if you watch this documentary, that's must-watch documentary by every person that cares about society. It's called 13th, and you can only see it on Netflix. It is so gripping. Some of what our show is a lot like what you hear in the documentary 13th. It's an excellent watch. It's only an hour and 38 minutes. Please have that discussion when you talk about race matters and Black Lives Matter, because it tells how the criminal justice system is privatized and it profits by locking up black men. I just want to make that point at Big C. But you've been in the business as an athlete and a broadcaster for over 40 years. I just want to get you to, in a nutshell, sum up what you learned by watching the documentary that's must-see TV for anyone trying to protest against Colin Kaepernick, Big C, and Black Lives Matter. Go right ahead, sir.
Well, Charlton, I looked at the documentary. A lot of these things I've known for years and have witnessed it, through education and through life.
Yeah.
But what's so poignant about this documentary is that it now cannot be hidden.
Yeah.
With modern technology and television and just social media. These are the things that are out there every day. It's not just a conversation that 15 seconds that we see on the newsreel at night speaking about something and then it's gone away. It tells how these things came about, how they became laws. And that's what America needs to understand. These are laws that have been in place to allow these things to happen. So we having a peaceful protest on a street at night or whatever, the laws of the land allow for these things to occur. And that's why it's so imperative that you vote. That you appeal these things. If you put the same emphasis on repealing some of these laws that people are putting the emphasis on repealing Obamacare, then society will change in America.
Yeah.
That's the most important human right that we have in this country, is to vote. And by them criminalizing so many African American men, it takes away that voting right.
Yeah.
But those who still have that voting right must utilize it and emphasize it on changing the law. Protests are fine. They look good for network television and for the news.
Yeah.
But that vote will change your life. And that protest will not have to exist because you've gone in and you've done what so many African Americans did in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
They fought for your right to vote, Charles.
Dr. King.
They fought. They gave up their lives.
Yeah.
They gave up many African American lives for us to have the right to vote. And for us not to vote these days, just as you'll see in the movie 13, we put the criminal justice system against us by not exercising our human and American right to vote, Charles.
Well, Big C, that is so powerful. And speaking of powerful, this segment is sponsored by United Labor, guaranteed $100,000 life insurance with no medical questions. If you've been turned down by anyone, tweet out to Charlton and Big C Sports. We'll give you a quote. Also, we are endorsed by the American Cancer Society and the American Heart Association. We are also able to work under all of the unions in the country under the AFL-CIO. Tweet out to Charlton and Big C Sports. And we're looking to hire over 1,000 licensed insurance brokers to put people back to work and help protect American families. Now, Big C, as we get into this world of the NFL, there's so many good games coming up over the weekend, but the first one starts tonight. We have Green Bay and Chicago, and I know Aaron Rodgers hasn't had a lot of success over the past couple of weeks, Big C. Your thoughts on Green Bay and Chicago? Green Bay is actually favored by 7, and the over-under is 46 points. Your thoughts on this game, Big C, tonight?
Well, Charles, this is an intriguing game and very intriguing matchup. People are saying if Aaron Rodgers can get back on track, this is the team to do it against the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
But when in a comparison of the two quarterbacks, Brian Hoyer and Aaron Rodgers, Brian Hoyer is a much better quarterback this year statistically than Aaron Rodgers. So I don't see how anybody can favor the Green Bay Packers over the Chicago Bears. Over Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
Eddie Lacy is not there. James Stark is not there.
Yeah.
There's no running game. We've talked about that many times, Charlton. The success of a white quarterback in the NFL is dependent on his black running back.
Yeah.
Okay? Both of those guys are gone. And you got to think about when was the last time there was a white running back that gained 1,000 yards in the NFL. But when I look at the Bears, this is a team that has talent. J.K. Jay Cutler was like an anchor on a ship.
Right.
When he was quarterback in the Chicago Bears.
Okay? Are you saying he couldn't get off the ground, Big C?
So they weren't going to move anywhere. They weren't going to move.
Yeah.
Now that he's not in the starting lineup, they've hoisted that anchor out of the water and they have movement.
Yeah.
The Chicago Bears can be a tenacious team when they need to be. Look how they beat up on the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah.
They were in that game the whole time, Charlton. So the Green Bay Packers are no better than the Indianapolis Colts. I kind of like the Bears a little bit tonight because they're at home, Soldier Field, and Green Bay is desperate.
Yeah.
Chicago is just playing. They're going out there and playing freely, so I like what they can do tonight.
Well, also, when we get into Sunday, we have the New York Giants there playing the Los Angeles Rams. They're actually a 3-point favorite. The over-under is 43.5 in that game, Big C. We know the Giants have had some issues this year with Eli throwing some interceptions, but your thoughts on the Rams going all the way across the country in your neck of the woods, Big C, playing the Giants. They are a 3-point underdog, Big C. Your thoughts on that game?
Well, you see Eli's having some problems this year. Eli's had some problems throughout his career throwing interceptions in the fourth quarter, Charlton.
Yeah.
He has led the NFL for the last 12 years with fourth quarter interceptions, okay? The only guy that's close to him right now is Ryan Fitzpatrick on the other side of town. They play in the same stadium. He's got 10 this year in the fourth quarter. But Eli Manning has not done anything that's great this year in the NFL, nor did he do it last year. You know, everybody wants to blame the talent around Eli. Eli has 3 of the greatest receivers in the NFL with Shepard, Cruz, and Beckham. Okay? So what's wrong with the Giants? It's not the receiving core. Running game, the offensive line is not great. But Eli, you've been a 12-year veteran in the NFL, and you're blaming everybody else on, you know, your lack of success. You should be the true bona fide leader of this team and just take control. The defense is not bad. They played okay. But, you know, with the Rams going out there, the Rams have no run game. They took Todd Gurley and put him on the shelf, Charlton. The best rookie running back in the NFL last year. They drafted no offensive lineman to help him. They drafted a quarterback they got on the sideline wearing a sweatsuit. You know, so he's no help to the team. Well, you got a coach that hasn't won anything since he won a game of checkers. So,
that's funny. And they play checkers in Los Angeles. I hear a lot of the Hollywood elite, they play checkers, Big C. So we know you like, who do you like in that game, Big C, between the Giants and the Rams winning that game tonight, on Sunday night, Big C?
I like the Giants to get off the skid. Even with Eli throwing an interception in the fourth quarter, I like the Giants to win the game, Charles.
Another game that had a lot of intrigue to it when the season was in the third week, but now we're in week 7. You look at the Minnesota Vikings, which are undefeated on the season. They're on the road at Philadelphia. They are a 2.5-point favorite. The over-under is 40 points in that game, Big C. But the Vikings look like they're a notch above anybody else in the NFC, at least Big C. And Carson Wentz hasn't turned out the lights the way Trent Dilfer was saying. And a lot of NFL pundits were saying how this kid out of North Dakota State was going to set the world on fire. He's really come back down to earth, Big C. Not flying as high as he was in the first couple of weeks. Your thought on that game, Big C?
Well, after 3 weeks, everybody said Carson Wentz was the real deal. No, Carson Wentz had played a real preseason after 3 weeks, okay? And no one had tape on him. But, you know, the people in the NFL, Charlton, are very intelligent. Especially defensive coordinators and defensive players, you know, having been a former defensive player. I've always thought we were the smartest people on the field. But, you know,
hold on. Are you saying that defensive players are smarter than running backs and quarterbacks and wide receivers, Big Z?
Well, they're trying to figure out what we're doing on defense. We know what they're doing on offense.
Okay, I understand.
That's why the scoring is so low in the league now. If the offense is more intelligent, you see them averaging 40 points a game. When they're going out there, they only get a touchdown and 2 field goals. That lets me know that the defensive players are a little more intelligent. But when you look at this scenario here with Carson Wentz, people have figured him out. They realize that he doesn't throw a pass over 15 yards. So that you don't have to play too deep safety against Philadelphia. So you can bring that strong safety up closer to the box, and you can jam at the line of scrimmage. They're not worried about Carson Wentz going over the top. Plus, he just doesn't have the mobility. Last week he was beat up. He was sacked 5 times, hit a dozen times.
He was sacked 5 times and sacked 5 times in one game, Big C. That's the whole season.
One game.
Okay, Big C.
Because you know where he's going to be.
But wait a minute. But Mel Kiper was saying this guy's a can't miss. He's the next Joe Montana. Where's Mel Kiper when the guy's getting sacked? Just go ahead.
Well, no, he was right. They can't miss him standing there in the pocket. He was a stationary target. He was right. He was about that.
But where's Mel Kiper? How come you don't see? How can you don't see Mel Kiper coming out and saying how he was wrong about this guy, Big C?
Mel Kiper hasn't been right in over a decade, Charlton. I mean, all he's doing is guessing. He's throwing spaghetti up against the wall coming to draft because he's sitting there asking teams that they made a terrible move, but he's not a GM.
Didn't you
he's
say?
Not signing any players.
Didn't you say?
Only jock Mel Kiper's ever seen is a player wearing one. Okay.
He and Donald Trump, Big Z. Didn't you say there was a monkey? There was a monkey that was more accurate than Mel Kiper. Is that a story that I heard someplace? Did you tell me that, Big Z?
No, that's an accurate. 2 years ago, a monkey got 30 of the 32 picks. Mel Kiper got 6. Okay, in the first round.
And
I mean, the monkey had a pretty good ratio, and he works for bananas.
Okay, that is so funny, Big Z.
Hey, but the thing they had in common was the same color hair. So,
that's so
that
funny.
was as close as he got to the monkey.
Oh man, you really did.
Philadelphia back in the game, Charlton. Philadelphia has to feel real good about it.
Yeah.
They're going to get a number 1 and a number 2 draft pick from Minnesota for Sam Bradford.
Yeah.
But also they're going to get a butt whooping this week also. So, I guess that's a fair trade.
Yeah, that's
you lose a game, you get a first and second round draft pick in next year's draft.
Yeah.
You see Sam Bradford going to the playoffs.
Yeah.
You potentially would be sitting at home watching with Dallas and Washington being in the same division, Charlton. And Washington just rolled through Philadelphia last week, only allowing 1 offensive touchdown.
Yeah, and Washington scored. Actually, they won the last 4 in a row. Also, another big game. The Kansas City Chiefs have gotten on track again. They're a 6.5-point favorite at home versus New Orleans and Drew Brees. Now, the over-under in that game is 50 points. Drew Brees can get that by himself, it seems, Big C, but their defense will also give it that much. Your thought on Alex Smith at home versus Drew Brees, Big C?
Well, I give Kansas City the advantage in this game. We know in the Midwest that weather can change at any time, and the ball is a little more slick, and plus they're playing out on grass in Kansas City. Drew Brees is going to go out and get his 350 yards passing in the game, Dalton.
Yeah.
But he won't have much support beyond that. He won't have a running game that has been very lackluster in New Orleans. That secondary has been toasted on several occasions this season, giving up in excess of 30 points, I believe, in four of the games that they've played.
Yeah.
So Kansas City, as you spoke about, they went into Oakland last week, dominated that game, and so they seem to have their season on track. Andy Reid's just a marvelous coach. Sean Payton is on the hot seat down in New Orleans, but I like Kansas City in this game a whole lot, Charlie.
Well, Big C, another great game. Potentially, Detroit is a little bit better than people give them credit for. I know they've won the last couple of games, but they are right now playing as a 1-point favorite over Washington, which has won the last 4 games. The over-under in that game, Big C, is 50 points. Your thoughts on Detroit being at home in the Dome, taking on Washington coming in there on Sunday? Who do you like in that game, Big C?
Well, the surprise for Washington, Charlton, has been their defensive play on this winning streak, this last 4-game winning streak. We talked about them being over Carson Wentz last week, where they sacked him 5 times, knocked him down a dozen times.
Yeah.
So this defense has really picked up the tempo. Also, when you look at Kirk Cousins, he's playing a lot better now than what he did the first 2 games of the season. He's not giving away the ball as frequently as he had. The running game for Washington has really stepped up. They had 196 yards rushing against Philadelphia. As we keep talking about, regardless of the greatness of these quarterbacks, Charlton, mostly white quarterbacks in the NFL, without those black running backs dominating the game from the line of scrimmage and keeping the ball on the ground, they're nothing. I mean, we look at Drew Brees. As great a quarterback as he is, going out hanging up 350, 400 yards a game, he has no running game.
Yeah.
So he loses. But you look last week with Kirk Cousins against Philadelphia, the Washington Redskins, when you rush for 196 yards, you don't lose a game.
Yeah.
Look at Miami. They had a running back go for over 200 yards. You don't lose those games, Charlton. So that's the key. And Washington has the running game, so I give them the advantage in this game.
Well, now looking at another game, kind of an interstate rival, you have the Cincinnati Bengals headed by Marvin Lewis, who's actually under fire for making the playoffs 8 years in a row. They're a 9-point favorite over Hugh Jackson and the Cleveland Browns, who are winless so far in the season. The over-under in that game is 46 points. That game will be played in Cincinnati with the great Andy Dalton. Your thoughts on who's going to win that game, and then why is Lewis in trouble if he doesn't get into the playoffs this year, Big C? Isn't 8 in a row decent when you look at what the Rams have done? We're given a $27 million advance to their coach, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, this is a big game for Marvin Lewis.
Yeah.
If he doesn't win this game, they will fire him, Charlton.
You think so?
He will be gone out of Cincinnati if he does not win this game. The big cry in Cincinnati is that he's made the playoffs 8 years.
Yeah.
But he hasn't advanced in the playoffs. That's the biggest cry. Even though he got within a game of going to the Super Bowl when Carson Palmer got hurt with a knee injury against the Steelers, they blame it on him. Last year, Andy Dalton breaks his thumb on his throwing hand.
Yeah.
So they had to go into the game with a rookie A.J. McCarron.
Yeah.
So, but if they lose this game in Cleveland, I do believe that they will fire Marvin Lewis, even though you have coaches in the NFL with a lot worse records, but they're not black.
Yeah.
So that's going to play a big part in it.
Yeah, Fisher. Fisher's one of them, Big C.
He has to win this game. He has to win this game to keep his job. That's just how imperative it is, Joe.
And speaking of keeping your job, this segment is also sponsored by One Life America Life Insurance. We're the leaders in the country when it comes to final expense. You can tweet out the Charlton Big C Sports on the iHeart Radio Network every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Worldwide, Charlton Big C Sports voted the number one sports show in the universe, according to Big C and his good old boys down south of Big C. Also, I want to get back into the world of football because I think one of the hottest teams right now in the NFL, they also had a coach firing earlier in the season. You look at the Buffalo Bills. They are a 3-point favorite on the road at Miami. The over-under is 46 points. Actually, 44 points is the under-over. And the Steelers actually went into Miami, and they got knocked off when Big Ben got hurt, Big C. Is Buffalo kind of are they set up for a letdown, Big C, going into the swamp and humidity of Florida, Big C? They're a 3-point favorite over Miami. Your thoughts on that game?
Well, they're hurting a little bit with their running game. The Buffalo Bills are. McCoy, had a little tweak last week.
Yeah,
and he may not be available.
Yeah.
But Tyrod Taylor, has just been playing lights out. They hung 45 points last week on the 49ers, but everybody does that also. But Kaepernick can't play defense. He can only play quarterback.
Yeah.
But, when you look at this game and you look at Miami last week, and the guy who had over 200 yards rushing against the Steelers. Now, we talked about the Steelers having a good defense just a week before.
Yeah.
But he took them to task for over 200 yards on the ground. Now, and we've talked about the teams that win in the NFL have a running game, Charlton. That's the key to success in the NFL. If you got a running game, you're going to win. I don't care who's your quarterback.
Yeah.
But if you can pound them out on the ground in the NFL, Charlton, for over 150 yards on the ground during the game, you have ball control.
Yeah.
You have field position control. And that's going to dominate the team. So this is going to be a close one. Miami last week told Tannehill, just don't screw it up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's funny.
So, but, if Tannehill thinks that he can throw with Tyrod Taylor, this is Buffalo Bills' game to have. If he hands the ball off and Buffalo has a real stout run defense, this will be a close one. I give advantage to Buffalo, Charles.
Well, Big C, another game that's picked real close by Las Vegas. Jacksonville is at home. They're a 1-point favorite over the Oakland Raiders. The over-under is 48 points. The Raiders had a real bad showing against the Kansas City Chiefs at home. They tend to play a little bit better when they're away from the Coliseum. Unfortunately, that looks good for the state of Nevada and the city of Las Vegas, Big C. But Jacksonville, a 1-point favorite at home over the Raiders. I think Trent Dilfer was saying how great of a quarterback that Derek Carr is, and I think he is great. But he threw the interception against Kansas City after their first drive. Never got the offense on track. They score about 28 points a game outside of their last home game, Big C. Your thoughts on Oakland going 3,000 miles across the country, playing a Jacksonville team that's really not that good, Big C?
Well, I got a question at this point. Trent Dilfer, Charles. Is he really that good? This is a guy coming out of college. Yes, he was a seventh overall pick in the first round by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But what has he done then or now? He left there. He ended up in Baltimore. They won a Super Bowl, but he had a 2,000-yard rusher, Jamal Lewis, in the backfield. Yeah. So all he had to do was hand off the ball. They beat the Raiders in the championship game. He threw a 7-yard slant, and Sharp took another 77 yards for a touchdown. Yeah. He didn't do anything. Super Bowl, Lewis had 2 kick returns for touchdowns, which was more points than the Giants scored. Yeah. All right? That's true. And then the defense just shut him down, and Ray Lewis was the MVP. So tell me, what has Trent Dilfer done? Trent Dilfer has, bashed Colin Kaepernick because of his stupidity, not understanding the stance of African Americans against the injustice. Well, Big C. He's opened his mouth on many occasions. Yeah. So if he's going to anoint Derek Carr as the next great quarterback in the NFL, that tells you Derek Carr is not going to be that good. Well, Big C, I got to go with Blake Bortles in Jacksonville this game because Trent Dilfer said, Derek Carr. Well, I also think that Trent Dilfer and Phil Simms and Mike Ditka and all those good, and Tony La Russa, the former manager of the steroid-prone Oakland A's and also the St. Louis Cardinals, watch the documentary 13th. Her name is DuVernay. She's brilliant. It's one of the most incredible documentaries in the history of the United States. There's a surprise ending. It's riveting. And there's a surprise ending. You can only see it by watching it. You can do it on Netflix. That's the only way you can see it. It's called 13th, and it's so powerful. It's about the plight
of America's criminal justice system and why the Black Lives Matter movement is so poignant for all people. Because if you watch this movie, you understand that this whole system is designed. It's not by accident that blacks make up about, I think, 40% of those incarcerated in 2014 alone were black men. It's designed. You got to see 13th, the documentary, Big C. Back to the world of the NFL. The tennis.
Also, yeah. Didn't Chris Nelson get cut by the Oakland Raiders?
Yeah, I believe so, Big C.
I know he got cut by the 49ers, so that's probably why he's mad at Kaepernick.
Yeah.
I think he also got cut by the Raiders, so, his career ended quite lustfully in the NFL.
Yeah, he also played up in Seattle, but for the fact that they said sit down and shut up, and Dabu Sweeney says if you don't like to salute in the fact, then go ahead and get the heck out of the country. Watch the documentary 13th. Just, even if you're a dumb person, watch it. If you don't like to read, watch it. If you do like to read, you got to watch it. 13th, have all the elementary school kids, the high school kids, especially the college good old boys, watch 13th. It's so powerful. And also back to the NFL, Big C. Tennessee, they're really playing strong this year. They're a 3-point favorite over Indianapolis. And the over-under is 48 points. But Indianapolis, they have a $144 million quarterback, Big C. Talking about giving all the quarterbacks the money. What's going on with Andrew Luck, Big C? The Tennessee Titans are a 3-point favorite at home over a guy that's getting $144 million, Big C. Your thoughts on that contract?
The same thing is wrong with Andrew Luck and the same thing is wrong with Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay.
Yeah.
You put too much emphasis on these guys being great.
Yeah.
And then when they're not great, you want to blame everybody else around them.
Yeah.
They want to say that the offensive line is so good. Who the hell signed the offensive line? It's the same guy that signed Andrew Luck's contract, okay?
Yeah.
GM signed the offensive lineman just like he signed Andrew Luck.
Yeah.
He signed all the receivers. He signed the guys on defense.
Yeah.
So to sit there and say that it's not Andrew Luck, that it's the talent around him, and you sign the same talent. I'm going to go with Tennessee on this game. Mike Mularkey, the coach of Tennessee, seems to have solved the problem of it. As long as Mariota is healthy, they got a very solid quarterback. And with Murray running the ball in the backfield, that's even better. You got Murray and Derrick Henry, last year Heisman Trophy winner.
Yeah.
So you got two big backs that you can rotate in Tennessee, and you have some strong receivers. Delaney Walker looks like the Delaney Walker who was with the 49ers when they were on their Super Bowl hunt.
Yeah,
so this Tennessee
true.
offense has matured. They have matured, and they are playing decent football right now, so I like Tennessee in this game.
Well, Big C, another great game coming up. The New York Jets are having all kind of problems. It's a pick'em game against the Baltimore Ravens. Both teams are having some issues. Baltimore doesn't have a run game. The Jets don't seem to have a quarterback situation worked out. They're already talking about firing the Jets coach after 2 seasons, almost making the playoffs last year. Your thoughts, the New York Jets at home in a pick'em game versus Baltimore, and the over-under is 40. Your thoughts on that game, Big C?
Well, you spoke about the running game that the Ravens lack. They cut Justin Forsett a couple of weeks ago saying it was mutual. It's been a long time since I've seen somebody who lose their job saying, hey, I didn't want to be here anyway. That kind of money. But you got Steve Smith, who's a beast at wide receiver, who's been hampered by an ankle injury.
Yeah.
So that really slows down the offense. You get rid of your top running back, your top receivers hurt. Now you see the true Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
Without the supporting cast, Joe Flacco's just a pedestrian quarterback.
Yeah.
You look on the other side to the Jets.
But see, he's making over $100 million. How could it be pedestrian, Big C?
Well, that's the white quarterback salary nowadays, Sean.
Oh, okay, it's common pay.
Give him $100 million and blame everybody else around him for being impotent.
That's funny. That's funny. That is so bizarre, Big C. In fact,
that's the fact, Sean.
Yeah.
You give a white quarterback in the NFL $100 million, then you blame everybody else around him from not being that good. But the same damn GM that gave the quarterback the $100 million is the same GM that said these guys are good enough to play with it.
Yep.
So somebody's stupid or somebody's wrong. And you decide, is he stupid or is he wrong?
That's
all right? That's how you look at it. So you look at the Jets.
Yeah.
Look at the Jets. Geno Smith getting his first start since the last week of 2015, okay?
Yeah.
Got that start against the Miami Dolphins. He passed over 350 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now, he can't do any worse than Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's thrown 10 interceptions, Charlton, in the fourth quarters this season. Not the season, just the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
So Geno Smith, if he doesn't throw an interception in the fourth quarter, he has a playing advantage over Ryan Fitzpatrick. You got to look at the GM of the Jets. You got 4 quarterbacks that you're carrying on your roster.
Yeah.
4 quarterbacks. Why? and nobody's playing well, but all the emphasis is going to come back on Geno Smith, the African-American quarterback.
Yeah.
If he doesn't do well, they're going to say, well, you know, he needs to be out of the league. Just like they said about Colin Kaepernick last week in Buffalo. Well, he didn't play that well, but the defense gave up 45 points.
Yeah.
Oh, but Colin Kaepernick didn't play well. Okay, he was playing defensive line, linebacker, and secondary in the game, as well as playing quarterback.
Well,
so you're telling me the guys on defense, Trent Baalke, who's the GM in San Francisco,
yeah,
who signed all of these guys on defense,
yeah,
and he signed Colin Kaepernick also,
yeah,
but the guys on defense are not doing their job, even though Colin Kaepernick was trying, and that offensive line that he has is very inept. That's the same thing we're looking at with the Jets this week, Charlton. That Geno Smith is going to get blamed for a lot of things. If the Jets win this game, they're going to say that the other team didn't play well.
That's also true, Big Z. Another big game coming up, at least big for the Atlanta Falcons. They are a 6.5-point favorite over the San Diego Chargers, and I want to get your thoughts. I felt that play against Julio Jones, who did ESPN did your catfish story with Julio Jones, Big Z. They had him on fishing, but he was in a boat and he was wearing makeup. I think Big Fish fishes with a shotgun and some rope. When you guys get what do you guys fish for? Is it crocodiles or alligators, Big Z?
we fish with catfish and we use live rats. We don't use worms. Yeah. We use live rats. They out there splashing around and learn catfish.
That's funny.
We go out there. We use a 30-6 when we're going out there getting the gator because we want to make sure he don't wiggle after we hit him.
Yeah.
You know, we want to get him in the boat as quick as possible.
Yeah, Big Z.
But, you know, when you think about these things with Julio Jones,
yeah,
they stole my episode on fishing.
Yeah.
ESPN.
Yeah.
They get him out there in a brand new boat. Nobody fishes for catfish in a bass boat. Okay?
Right.
They had a bass boat. At least get a rowboat. They got a bass boat out there fishing for catfish in the middle of the week where they hang out towards the banks, Charlton. At least get your script right when you're faking it.
And
okay?
see,
at least get your script right.
The other thing they got wrong is that Big C, you grab catfish the same way Donald Trump grabs women by the crotch, Big C. So they could have put that skin in there also, Big C. But again, your thoughts on Atlanta at home versus San Diego in the Dome, 6.5-point favorites, Big C.
Well, you know, I'm looking at Atlanta, and they remind me of a Jekyll and Hyde team, Charlton. One week they can be so dominant, the next week, you know, you played Seattle. That game, it was close. We thought Seattle would win that game.
Yeah.
But, you know, they went in, they blew out Denver, they went in, they blew out Oakland. And they go up to Seattle and they played a lackluster offensive performance. Yes, I mean, if you look at the NFL, how plays are being called now all the time, defensive backs are allowed to use a hand on the receiver. Not just that play with Julio Jones,
yeah,
but you look throughout the league and you see this all the time, receivers complaining about being grabbed. The officials can and cannot call it. It's like an offensive lineman. Them dirty suckers grab you every play.
Wait a minute. You saying offensive linemen are better? They're more nasty and dirty than defensive guys, Big C? Is that what you're saying?
Hey, the offensive linemen remind me of my muddy Escalade being dirty all the time, okay?
Okay.
That's what they remind me of.
That's
I don't know if they're pigs wallowing in the mud, you know, and everybody calls the hogs, so
right.
They know how to be dirty and nasty, okay?
That's funny.
What they are.
That is so funny, Big Z.
You know, but the Falcons being a Jekyll and Hyde team,
yeah,
you don't always know which one is going to show up. You know, is it the one that's going to 45 points or is it the one that's going to score 20 points? Matt Ryan has played excellent, but he hasn't always gotten the ball into the end zones, you know? And that team is predicated on how well the running game is going with Freeman.
Yeah.
If Freeman is running the ball strongly, the Falcons will win. But if he takes the ball out of Freeman's hands, Charlton, and thinks that he can just go to the wideouts, the Falcons will lose this game.
Well, another game that's going to be heavily watched by the national media, and they'll have stories about it. Colin Kaepernick is coming home to lead the San Francisco 49ers for his first home start this year, Big C. They're playing Tampa Bay. The Buccaneers are coming in town, and Tampa's actually a 2-point favorite. The over-under is 46.5, Big C. But I want to get your thought on this. I hope that the media and all the people who watch football and they want to see if Colin Kaepernick is going to take a knee or whatever, please watch the documentary 13th. It's on Netflix. You can only see it on Netflix. It is so gripping. There's a surprise ending. If you're a sports fan, even if you're not a sports fan, there's a surprise ending. You gotta see the documentary. It's called 13th. It's on Netflix. And also, Big C, your thoughts on Tampa Bay on the road at San Francisco going in as a 2-point favorite, Big C.
Well, you look at Tampa Bay, Charlton. Jameis Winston has done a great impersonation of Ryan Fitzpatrick this year.
Yeah.
He's been giving the ball away. He's thrown too many interceptions to be consistent. And, you know, but the big spark in their offense right now is Jacquizz Rodgers.
Yeah.
They picked him up off the scrap heap from Atlanta, played at Oregon State, diminutive running back. but he's so powerful and quick that he can make a difference.
Yeah.
And we've seen the problem that the 49ers defense has had with quick running backs, McCoy and other backs this year, Charlton, Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah.
So this is a challenge against the 49ers defense, not Colin Kaepernick, but can they stop Jaquez Rodgers?
Yeah.
I know that Jameis Winston will throw an interception or two, but Jaquez Rodgers can get you 100 yards on the ground, and if he does get 100 yards on the ground, Tampa Bay will win this game. Colin Kaepernick can have a breakout game also, Charles, because this is a game, being back in San Francisco, being motivated by that home crowd, this is a game where you can see remnants of the old Colin Kaepernick getting out on the edge, pressing the corner, running the football, pressing the defense, finding that open receiver down the field.
Yeah.
But, this is a game that's a toss-up, as you said. I like it. If Colin Kaepernick is going to win a game this year, this will be the one that he wins at home in San Francisco.
Well, Big C, we have 2 more games to go over, but I just want to say that the crowd may be pro-Colin Kaepernick, but the San Francisco Bay Area media, they are definitely anti-Colin Kaepernick. There's so much criticism among this guy, and I ask everyone in the Bay Area media, the guys that work on this Sports Leader, just watch the documentary 13th. There's a very surprised, poignant ending to it. You got to see it. It's on Netflix. It's called 13th. If you care about this country and you care about athletics, watch 13th. It's so powerful. You got to see it. If you're making statements about Black Lives Matter or whatever Colin Kaepernick says, if you haven't seen 13th, you're kind of unqualified to even make comments about that. Big C, the final 2 games, the New England Patriots, a 7-point favorite over the Pittsburgh Steelers. That game is in Pittsburgh, and it's over under 46 points, Big C. There's no Big Ben in this game. Your thoughts on Tom Brady going on the road, Big C?
Well, I think the question mark becomes Landry Jones, Charlton.
Yeah.
He's only getting his 3rd start in the NFL at quarterback, former Oklahoma quarterback. And, he's going to be facing this New England defense. Everybody gives Tom Brady credit, which he should get. He's passed for almost 800 yards, Charlton, in just 2 games and 7 touchdowns.
Yeah.
But Landry Jones is a quarterback that doesn't have the experience out there. He has a great receiving core, but will he be able to withstand the pressure of the New England defense that is totally underrated, but is constantly keeping the Patriots engaged? You think about it, they were 3-1 with Brady out, and a lot of that was done from the defensive side of the football, Charles.
Yeah.
So this is a game that the Steelers are going to have to do everything they can to even stay close. New England will win the game.
Yeah.
Brady's playing grown man football right now. Let's be honest about it.
Yeah. He's
playing at a different level than every quarterback in the NFL. He is playing angry. He is playing precise. He's completing 78% of his passes. Now, you got to find me a quarterback that can lose in the NFL completing 78% of his passes.
That's very true, Big C. The final game we'll cover is the Arizona Cardinals. They're actually at home in the desert, a 2-point favorite over the Seattle Seahawks. The over-under is 43 points. Your thought on Russell Wilson going up against Palmer down in the desert, Big C? Again, Arizona, a 2-point favorite at home with the over-under 43. Your thoughts on that game?
Well, Charlton, they've had those extra days of rest because they played on Thursday night last week, and they're playing at home. But Seattle, has a little bit of momentum that they've built up since the early part of the season. Russell Wilson is getting healthier every week. He didn't take a beating last week against the Falcons. So his mobility will be the difference in this game. If you look at Arizona's defense last week, they really didn't get to the quarterback. They have some great athletes, but they didn't get to the quarterback. And I think that Wilson now trusts his receiving core.
Yeah.
And this is a game that you can get C.J. Spiller untracked in. He's a very fast running back. He can be elusive. He was a former number 1 draft pick of the Buffalo Bills. And the Seattle Seahawks had a back before that was the number 1 draft pick of the Buffalo Bills. I think he was Beast Mode or something like that.
Yeah, I think his name is Beast. Yeah, the guy that ate the Skittles all the time, right, Big C? The Skittle man.
C.J. Spiller can become anything like Marshawn Lynch, who was a former number 1 draft pick of the Bills, and just like Spiller. They can get that running game on track in Seattle. They're going to be hecked the rest of the season, and they can pluck a bird down there in Arizona. Yeah,
well, Big C, speaking of birds, I'm telling you, there's something about loving the sports business. This final question is sponsored by BeneathThisWingsFoundation.org and also CYNN Entertainment when it comes to promotion. Cynthia Evans, she's the best in Northern California. We have the Lynx tonight. They're playing in Game 5, and they're playing against L.A., so the Lynx against L.A. for the WNBA championship. So good luck to whoever wins that game. We also have the baseball start out again in Los Angeles right about this time, Big C. Just want to get your thoughts on, there's so many things going on in our world. We talk about the political debate. It's all tied to the sports business. because everything matters when you want to talk about, who's doing what for the country. No matter who you vote for, I hope you vote, but I hope you get educated. Go out and watch the documentary 13th. It's so powerful. I think everyone needs to see it. Big C, the world of sports. What football game are you looking forward to more this weekend, Big C, as we wrap up the NFL?
Well, Charlton, all of them are great across the board. I like to see the winning streaks continue. I want to see New England stay where they are, on top. I want to see Tom Brady get retribution for the injustice that was given to him through the NFL. That money that the NFL spent on him should have been given to some domestic violence or battered women's shelters. I want to see Marvin Lewis win a job. I want to see him keep the job in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And that's what he needs to do. He needs to win a game. I want to find out if Carson Wentz is for real or is he perpetrating a quarterback in the NFL this week. And you'll find out if he went on a 3-game winning streak, he's going to go on a 3-game losing streak, Charlton.
Well,
that will be the defining moment for him in his career. And you talked about the WNBA, Charlton, tonight. The Minnesota Lynx and the LA Sparks. I like Maya Moore. Best player in the NBA, former UConn Husky All-American, a 3-time NCAA championship. I think she's going to take the Lynx to a WNBA championship, Charlton. We look at also going on in Los Angeles. The Dodgers and the Cubs. This is game 2. It's the best of 3 series now, Charlton. The team that wins the next 2 games is going to the World Series. I think the Cubs got their momentum and their mojo back last night, and they should be able to get over the hump against the Dodgers tonight and get back to Chicago and be able to close out the series. It's just a marvelous weekend. We think about college football. There's going to be a couple of football teams eliminated from the playoff teams, Charlton. But the NFL is front and center. Roger Goodell has been called out because of the Josh Brown incident of him with the domestic violence against his wife. How will he and the New York Times react to this? Geno Smith, can he win a game as a New York Jets quarterback?
That's so true, Big C. I tell you, I love doing this show, Charlton and Big C Sports, every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We are worldwide and on the iHeart Radio Network. We are actually the top sports show in the universe, Big C. But as we always say, there is no room for domestic violence against women. This is anti-racism, anti-sexism. No one needs to feel afraid, no matter who you are, Big C. Let's keep our women safe. If you know anyone in trouble, just call 911. We gotta step up and do that, guys. No grabbing women by the crotch and saying it's just locker room talk. That's despicable. But I also want to say you're gonna get real sports talk when you follow Charlton and Big C Sports every Monday through Friday around the world on Charlton and Big C Sports on the iHeart Radio Network. And as we always tell you, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.